The observation deck of the Catherine research vessel hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of its quantum drive. Brian stood with his arms crossed, watching through the reinforced viewport as Nyla floated in the vacuum chamber beyond. Her pressure suit gleamed under the harsh industrial lighting, every movement deliberate and measured. "Your species is so fragile," Commander Zelthix chittered, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting the light into dancing prisms. The Catherine's 4 optical sensors focused on the human woman suspended in the testing chamber. Such weak biological forms. No natural armor, no radiation resistance, no vacuum adaptation. Brian didn't respond immediately. He'd heard variations of this speech from a dozen different species since humanity had joined the Galactic Consortium 3 years ago. The galaxy's elder races viewed humans as soft, vulnerable, barely worthy of attention. "Temperature regulation through perspiration," continued Dr. Morthok, a hulking Granathi whose thick scales could withstand plasma fire. She gestured at her datapad with one of her 6 clawed appendages. "Bone structure that fractures under minimal stress. Muscle tissue that tears easily. And this one," she indicated Nyla, "she masses only 62 kilograms. Barely more than a hatchling of my species." Through the chamber's communication system, Nyla's voice came through calm and clear. "Ready for test sequence 7 when you are, Brian." Brian leaned forward to the control panel. "Beginning test sequence 7, introducing the compressed titanium vanadium alloy rod, a mechanical arm extended from the chamber wall. Presenting a rod of dark gray metal approximately 1 meter in length and 5 centimeters in diameter. The display screen showed its specifications, a compression-forged alloy rated for structural applications in spacecraft hulls. With a tensile strength of 1,200 megapascals, Zelthix's mandibles clicked in what Brian had learned was amusement. "And she will attempt to bend this with her bare manipulators?" "This is the test?" "That's correct," Brian said evenly. "Impossible," Morthok rumbled. "Our own industrial fabricators require 3,000 degrees of heat and hydraulic pressure exceeding." She fell silent as Nyla gripped the rod. The human woman positioned her hands shoulder-width apart on the alloy. Through the viewport, Brian could see her chest rise and fall as she regulated her breathing. Then, with a smooth, controlled motion, she began to apply pressure. Nothing happened for 3 seconds. 5 seconds, 10 dot, then the rod began to curve. "Sensor malfunction," Zelthix announced, his voice sharp. "The alloy cannot be. Sensors are functioning perfectly." Brian interrupted, pulling up the real-time data stream on the main display. Heart rate, 160 beats per minute. Muscle oxygen consumption increased by 300%. Localized temperature elevation in forearm and shoulder musculature. The curve in the rod deepened. Nyla's face remained focused, almost serene, as the supposedly unbendable alloy yielded to her grip. The metal creaked a sound that shouldn't have been possible in the vacuum chamber, transmitted through the rod itself to the mounting brackets. 30 seconds after beginning, Nyla held a U-shaped piece of twisted metal. Morthok's scales had shifted to a pale green, a sign of shock in her species. "This is ... how?" Brian pulled up a holographic display of the human muscular system. "Humans evolved as persistence hunters on a high-gravity world. Our muscles contain a higher density of mitochondria than most species' cellular powerhouses that generate enormous amounts of ATP when pushed to our limits. We can recruit nearly 100% of our muscle fibers simultaneously." "But the structural damage," Zelthix protested. "The cellular destruction such exertion would cause is temporary," Brian finished. "Watch." He initiated test sequence 8, this time. The mechanical arm presented a solid block of the same alloy, 50 centimeters on each side. Beside it, a hydraulic press descended from the ceiling. "The press will apply 40,000 newtons of force," Brian explained. "Standard safety testing for hull plating. Nyla will attempt to match it." The press activated first, its massive head descending onto the block with calibrated precision. The alloy compressed by exactly 2 millimeters within. Expected parameters before the press retracted. Nyla positioned herself above the block, her boots mag-locked to the chamber floor. She placed both palms flat on the surface, arms straight, and began to push downward with her entire body weight leveraged through her skeletal structure. The monitoring displays showed her heart rate climbing to 180, core temperature rising, lactic acid building in her muscle tissue. The pain receptors firing across her nervous system would have incapacitated most species. The alloy compressed. 1 millimeter. 1.5. 2 millimeters. Nyla held the position for 5 seconds before releasing. She straightened slowly, rolling her shoulders, and gave Brian a thumbs up through the viewport. Impossible, Morthak whispered. The engineering specifications, the force calculations, are all correct, Brian said. But you're thinking of humans as we appear, not as we actually are. Yes, we're fragile. Yes, we die easily. A Kethrin can survive hard vacuum for hours. A Granathi can walk through fire. Compared to you, we're made of tissue paper. He pulled up another display, this one showing human evolutionary history, the data compiled from Earth's archaeological records. But we come from a death world. Earth's gravity is 1.3 times consortium standard. Our atmosphere has a partial oxygen pressure that would be toxic to most species. We evolved alongside megafauna predators, survived ice ages, crossed oceans in wooden boats, and split the atom before we had computers. Brian gestured to Nyla, who was now running through a series of stretches in the chamber, already beginning her recovery process. You see fragility. I see adaptation. Every human alive is the descendant of survivors who clawed their way to the top of the food chain on a planet that was actively trying to kill them. We're not strong in the way you're strong, but we're strong enough. And when we need to be stronger, our bodies find a way. Zelfix approached the viewport, his sensors focused intently on Nyla. The recovery speed. Her cellular damage is already repairing? Within 48 hours, she'd be stronger than she was before this test, Brian confirmed. We call it supercompensation. Stress, damage, adaptation, improvement. It's how we built civilizations. It's how we reached the stars. Morthak's claws clicked against her datapad as she frantically recorded data. We fundamentally misunderstood your species. Most do at first, Brian said with a slight smile. You see the fragility and miss the resilience. You see the weakness and miss the determination. Humans break easily, but we heal, we adapt, and we come back stronger. In the chamber, Nyla had retrieved the bent alloy rod. She held it up to the viewport, the U-shape clearly visible, a testament to human capability that couldn't be denied. Permission to return to normal atmosphere, Brian, she called out. Granted. Repressurization beginning now. As the chamber filled with breathable air and Nyla began removing her helmet, Zelfix turned to Brian with what might have been respect glinting in his optical sensors. Perhaps, the Kethrin commander said slowly, we should reconsider our assessment of humanity's potential contributions to the consortium. Brian watched Nyla exit the chamber, stretching her arms above her head, already smiling and ready for the next challenge. Perhaps you should, he agreed.